Hello friends, how are you? Hope you are doing well. So let us continue our discussion for the ESG sustainability and climate change related question and answers. Next question is about what are the core elements and the recommendations of TCFD framework. So core elements, as I said, four are there: governance, strategy, risk management, and metrics and targets. But for each core element we have certain different recommendations which we can discuss here. So for governance related element, what are the recommendations from the TCFD side? So it start with disclosing the organizational governance around the climate related risk and opportunity. So describing the board of directors overseeing of the climate related risk and opportunities, and describing the management's role in assessing and managing the climate related risk and opportunities. So first of all we talk about the overseeing, monitoring, and the roles and then roles and responsibilities of the board itself in assessing and managing the climate related risk and opportunities. Second, we are talking about the strategy element, where we have different recommendations. We can think of like disclosing the actual and potential impact of the climate related risk. Actual and potential impacts, actual impact, transparent disclosures are required. So climate related risk and opportunities on the organizational business strategy and financial planning. So we can think about climate related risk and opportunities the organization has identified over the short term, medium term, or long term. So that we need to describe. And again, describing the impact of the climate related risk and opportunities on the organizational business, their strategy, and their financial planning as well. And last, we can think about the resilience, climate resilience we are talking. So describing the resilience of the organization's strategy, taking into consideration different climate related scenarios, including a 2 degree or lower scenarios as well, 2 degrees centigrade or lower scenarios we can say. Then we talk about the risk management practices, risk management element, where we have following recommendations. So disclosing how an organization identify and assess and manage the climate related risk. First of all, very importantly, we need to think about identification and the quantitative and qualitative assessment of these climate related risk and opportunities. Then we think about describe the organization's process for managing those climate related risks, what actions the organization is taking for managing the risk, and very importantly, the processes for identification, assessing, and managing climate related risks are integrated into the organization's overall risk management framework. So this is also we need to put in the description. Then next element is about metrics and targets. Metrics and targets, when we say the organization shall disclose the metrics and targets used to evaluate and manage the relevant climate related risk and opportunities, where such information is material. So definitely we are talking about materiality here actually. So first of all, let us disclose the metrics used by the organization to assess the climate related risk and opportunities in line with the strategy, as we said earlier, and the risk management processes as well. Secondly, we need to disclose scope 1, scope 2, and if appropriate, then we can go for the scope 3 greenhouse gas emissions and the associated or the relevant related risk as well. Last, describing the targets which are used by the organization to we can say manage the climate related risk and opportunity and the performance against the target. So these are 11 recommendations as per the 4 core elements of TCFD framework. Then when we design certain TCFD related reporting checklists, there are certain questionnaires or the concern areas which management can look into related to the 4 different elements. And we can think about when we design the checklist, let us see each core element. Like governance, we can think of our statement of investment principles, incorporate beliefs and approach to the climate change. Our commitment meet regularly to consider the climate change related issues. Our schemes has sufficient climate change monitoring arrangements in place, and we have assigned climate related responsibility to subcommittees and external advisors as well. So next we can think about we have considered and agreed upon the level of knowledge and frequency of training required for the top management as well. Okay, so think about the strategy part where we are thinking of, you know, forming a view on short, medium, and long term climate change related issues that could have a material financial impact on the company's scheme, taking into account funding, investment, and sponsor. And we need to identify the distinguished climate related risks. Maybe it can be transition of physical risk. Then next we can ensure that we have identified whether climate change related risk of and opportunities have impacted our investment strategy or not. Okay, then think about climate change related scenarios have been considered in the strategy itself. Think about the risk management practices. Then we say identification and managing climate change related risk. We can think about going for climate change scenario analysis, carbon footprint analysis, engagement activity with the investment managers or the stakeholders, and we can think about certain schemes, risk registers considering the climate risk. Okay, last is about the metrics and targets. The company employ metrics and targets used to assess the climate related risk and opportunities for each activity. And we can think about, for an example, an absolute emission based matrix, an emission intensity matrix, and another climate change matrix, which can be included for metrics and targets element actually. So next is about the question. We continue with our TCFD recommendation only, where I again repeat it for you, like we have 4 core elements in TCFD and 11 different recommendations related to the governance, strategy, risk management, metrics and target related core elements. Okay, next we continue that what are the TCFD's principles for effective disclosures. For effective disclosures, there are certain principles you need to follow, which are: we need to represent the relevant information, specific information as required from the framework side actually. Okay, then we go for be specific and complete, be clear, balanced, talk about the positive and negative impacts both, and understandable also. Be consistent over time and be comparable among companies within the same sector, industry, or the portfolio. Be reliable, verifiable, and objective, and be provided on a timely basis. So these are certain principles which can be utilized to make the TCFD related disclosures effective. Now, when we talk about the different reference documents related to the TCFD thematic areas and the TCFD recommendations, we can discuss certainly about certain reference documents which the auditors also can verify during the audits. Okay, like for governance theme or core element, we can talk about different TCFD recommendations are there, but for those recommendations to ensure different documents are available, like we talk about the governance related core element, the governance of the corporate social responsibility, powers of the board of directors, board committee, their composition and operations, or we can think about the corporate control functions. Then we can have certain consolidated non-financial statements as well, like governance structure, sustainability governance, management of the potential risk and impacts related to the climate change. So this all can be disclosed in the annual report or sustainability or ESG report as well. Think about the strategy part, strategy element, where we talk about the code of ethics, like reference values and the principles of conduct regarding the ESG related to the climate risk. Okay, we talk about the commitment of the environment, commitment for the environment by the organization actually. Then we think about certain documents which we can verify here, like business models. We can talk about the green economy concepts, the pathways or roadmaps, what have been designed, the strategies which have been designed, stakeholder engagement activities and their results, environment and climate change related plans, right? So this all information can be found in the annual reports or ESG and sustainability. Then next we talk about the risk management, where we can go for the risk registers verifications, right? Some internal control and risk management systems generally available in the organization. So we can talk about the sustainability governance, and we can say the management of the potential risk and impacts related to the climate change here. Then while we go for the metrics and targets, there are certain documents which we can verify. Again, as I told you, the ESG results or ESG factor related results, and we can think about the mapping of the KPIs with respect to the sustainable development goals as well. So this all information which we can find in the sustainability report or the ESG report or annual report, we can say. So thank you very much, friends, for now, and we will continue our discussion from the next actually. Thank you.